Good afternoon. On behalf of the Center for Community Progress, I'd like to welcome you to today's Cornerstone webinar. My name is Justin Goddard, and I serve as the Program Officer for National Leadership in Education here at Community Progress. Cornerstone is our webinar series which equips participants with the building blocks to understand and solve tough challenges related to property vacancy, abandonment, and deterioration. For today's webinar, we are joined by Liz Kozub, Tyrell Anderson, Kelly Anoe, and Nina Davis Burton. Liz Kozub serves as the Associate Director of National Leadership in Education for the Center for Community Progress. In this role, she manages our trainings programming, our resident engagement programs, and our work on creative placemaking. Prior to joining Community Progress, Liz served as an Assistant Director for the Turtle Creek Valley Council of Governments, a multi-municipal agency focused on intergovernmental cooperation and shared services in the Mon Valley of Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. Tyrell Anderson is an avid volunteer in his community, a photographer, a husband, and a father. He is also the president and founder of Decay Incorporated, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to educate the general public about the historic and social importance of abandoned architectural structures, as well as to seek out and secure funding to restore and preserve these places. Anderson is also the president of the Gary, Indiana Public Library Board of Trustees. Kelly Anoe is the vice president at Legacy Foundation, which is the community foundation for Lake County, Indiana. Kelly oversees grant awards for nonprofits, community partnerships, and special initiatives. She has experience serving as an executive director of a community organization, a chief operations officer for a statewide membership and advocacy organization, and as an emergency room social worker. Last but not least, Nina Davis Burton is the executive director of the Woodland Child Development Center, a not-for-profit agency providing quality learning programs and affordable child care services for families in Northwest Indiana. She is also a small business owner in the community and was a member of Community Progress's inaugural Community Revitalization Fellowship cohort. So before turning it over to today's panelists, I want to mention that we will allow time at the end of the presentation to answer questions. If you have a question during the presentation, please type it into the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your browser and send it to both the webinar host and all panelists. We will share both a video recording and the slide deck from today's presentation in the week following. If you experience any technical difficulties, please use the chat box to message the Community Progress host or send an email to myself at jgoddard@communityprogress.net. Finally, Community Progress has created a COVID-19 resource center which can be accessed on our website and provides resources and weekly updates for neighborhoods looking to prevent vacancy, abandonment, and deterioration related to the current economic and health challenges. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Liz.
Cool, thanks so much, Justin. And thank you everybody for joining us today. We're excited to talk about the Community Revitalization Fellowship program here at Community Progress and to really hear from the incredible leaders in the city of Gary and the work that they're doing on the ground. But before moving forward, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the death of George Floyd, Rayshard Brooks, Breonna Taylor, Elijah McClain, and the countless other Black lives lost because of injustice and systemic racism Black people experience in this country. These same systems of racial injustice also manifest in the built environment and the neighborhoods which people of color call home. Higher concentrations of vacant, abandoned, and deteriorated properties exist in communities of color because policies and systems have created that reality. The work we do at Community Progress aims to intervene and address these systems through advocating for equitable revitalization strategies of vacant and abandoned properties. The community development field was founded by Black community leaders who are advocating for just, safe neighborhoods. over decades, the strategies and the tools to address inequities and land use policies have become more technical and more focused on policy and law change. And with that evolution, access to the field has become limited. And until very recently, the field has been led by white decision makers. So as a white woman, I acknowledge my benefit of that evolution in this process. Our CEO, Akilah Watkins-Butler, recently wrote an essay published in SHELTERFORCE titled A Love Letter to the Next Decade of Community Development. She calls for the development and support of a pipeline of local leaders advocating at the block level into the field of community development as decision makers and leaders. There is a link provided in this slide related to that article. I encourage you all to read it. It will be sent out after the presentation. It's really gained a lot of traction in the field of community development and has started a lot of conversations. So please take the time to read it. Before turning it over to our speakers today, I'd like to talk a little bit about Community Progress's Community Revitalization Fellowship. The program was launched just last year in 2019. 6 resident leaders from 3 different cities were chosen through an application process to participate in the fellowship. So that's 18 fellows total, 6 from 3 cities. A local institutional partner is also a member of the fellowship cohort, and that institutional partner has a history of supporting grassroots-led initiatives at the local level. They learn alongside fellows and provide support locally back home. The fellowship was developed out of a commitment to equip community leaders with the tools to advocate for community-centered change and to be leaders at decision-making tables. So each year, the fellowship involves 3 learning exchanges, 1 in each city that participates in the fellowship. What we do is we travel to each of the cities. As part of that process, there is trainings on the systems that contribute to property vacancy and abandonment and those that exacerbate the cycle of disinvestment in communities. An incredibly valuable part of the fellowship is the peer exchange that comes from the program. So community leaders have the opportunity to share their expertise, to talk about challenges, to showcase projects that they've worked on at the local level, and to really have robust conversations on how to move the needle forward in their communities. The fellowship is open to cities with populations of 300,000 or less. Use the word city broadly. It's open to towns, municipalities, any local jurisdiction with populations of 300,000 or less. So unfortunately, the fellowship for 2020 has been put on hold because of COVID and concerns with safety. So we've not yet determined when the application for future fellowships will be opened. But if you're interested in applying, please sign up to get first alerts. It's in this link on this slide. You'll be given an email when the application does become available. We also have past webinars outlining the application process for the fellowship. So if you're interested, check out our website and look at those past webinars. So today you'll be able to have the opportunity to hear from really incredible leaders in the city of Gary. I had the opportunity to learn about the initiatives that they're doing on the ground and the partnerships that they've created through the Community Revitalization Fellowship. So in fact, the photo that is on this screen actually is of a mural from one of the grounds of a really impressive revitalization efforts that's led by Decay, which Tyrell is the president and founder of. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Tyrell.
Yeah. All right, so how's everyone doing? As said, my name is Tyrell Anderson, and I'm going to talk about our organization, the Decay. Who are we? We're a very diverse group, engineers, nurses, steel workers, assembly workers, you name it. We started in 2012 just as a group of explorers traveling, taking pictures, and through the course of moving around the U.S. and some abroad, wanted to come back and do more in our community once we started to see how things are preserved in other areas. And in 2015, we decided to become a nonprofit organization and see what we can do here at our home. So first thing was, hey, let's identify our partners. We're going to go lay out our strategic plan, and everyone's going to jump on board because we have these great ideas. And of course, all of that failed because we didn't put the work in to build those relationships properly before we started to reach out and try to get people on board to support our ideas and our initiatives. So we formed a nonprofit in 2015, I want to say June. Our first grant that we received was a Transforming Lake County grant through Legacy Foundation towards the end of 2016. So roughly a year and a half we spent reaching out, trying to secure funding, raise money to no avail. And this was our first opportunity to show what we can do. But before receiving this grant, what we did was we just partnered with other organizations in the community who had positive things in motion. We went out, we supported their efforts. We showed that even if our initiatives were not, fully in place and ready to go, we still want to support the community. And I think that's what led us to the positive traction that we got moving forward. So definitely want to stress persistence and following up. So this is what we inherited. As you can see, the grounds of the Union Station were severely overgrown and littered with debris. A very big project to knock out in a year. Our grant was to just do a beautification project around the front of the building. So we knew we had a big project at hand. We knew that we all have full-time jobs, so it's going to be really hard for everyone to just commit to going and trying to, put everything on their shoulders. So the first thing is identifying your scope, empowering your team. You have to trust the people you work with, engage the community. You have to get people excited about what's going on. Press. So we heavily documented every single stage of our process, shared it on social media, talked to our newspapers, start to really build our following and get people excited about what was going on. And that excitement about the project led to a lot of partnerships and quick wins for us. So this screen is significant because many people just see the final pictures and think, oh, wow, you guys did something great in a year. That's remarkable. But in order to keep everyone excited, we broke our project down into, we call them small wins, quick wins. So every 3 months, 2 to 3 months, we had something, ready to go to keep people excited. So we started out with our initial cleanup. Well over 100 people came out, a very great time. Some people just wanted to see the site. So we had those historic lessons. And then we followed up with the actual mural installation where we had individuals come out and watch the artists paint. WGN News came out and gave us even more publicity for the project, which allowed more individuals to jump on the project. And when you get down to the Union Station reincarnated, that's when U.S. Steel decided to jump on and be a part of what we had. And so the initial investment from Legacy Foundation, the grant for $22,000 at this point, ballooned to over $100,000, just leveraging the assets that we had and keeping people excited about what's going on and not just looking to that end goal. What's that end result? Obviously, we want to get there, but we definitely had to break it up into smaller steps. And then we finished with a big celebration to invite everyone out and thank them. And so what you see here was the capstone of 2017, August 2017. And we installed 11 murals, cleaned the grounds, and did some planting. So that was our very first major project here in Gary. In the process of our future vision is just to restore the entire site. So we never stopped reaching out for additional resources, additional partners. And we ended up meeting Cheyenne Hussar. She's an architect in Chicago. She's also a professor of University of Urbana-Champaign. She brought her master level students up to Gary. They talked to the community and they created 3D replicas, 2D prints, and walkthroughs of the space. So we went down to their campus, we saw their designs, and we brought their designs back home to further the engagement with the community. And again, we know that our project is a multi-million-dollar project, so we have to keep things in process to let people know, like, we're still busy, we're still working, we want you to stay excited about what's going on and keeping people informed along the way. And more art pops up as well. So downtown, before we did our mural installation, there was only one mural. And we did our project, and there was so much positive traction. There was additional support from Legacy Foundation, the City of Gary Redevelopment, and Paint Gary. And you go from one mural downtown to over 40 in the course of 2 years. So that was something that was just very beautiful to see once the motion gets put in place. Just the positive feedback and everyone who was able to jump on and wanted to be a part of what was going on to revitalize our downtown. And we reached out to a few nonprofits and a couple schools, and we even got some students to come out and do some murals on their own. So that was really nice to see. And we love to feed people, get the community out, do public engagement. This is one of our, I want to say, supersize me events. We just get people out, engage them, put up a lot of questions, get their feedback, and we actually use their feedback to drive future grant projects. So our keys to success are thinking out the box, leveraging our assets. Everyone automatically thinks, you just need a big donor to just drop something in your lap, but you really have to leverage all your assets against each other to push the project through on all avenues. Take care of your supporters. Definitely for our grantors, they want to make sure that they trust us to spend their funds properly, and we want to make sure that we reflect, properly on their organizations and just keep that positive relationship going. We definitely follow up with all contacts and give credit where credit is due. Nothing that we've done is 100% on our shoulders. It took a lot of people in the city and outside of our city to get us to the place where we are now. So we definitely always give credit where credit's due. And just want to touch on a couple quotes that we lead by. You can never lead if you only follow. And the bottom one, you remember by the rules you break. Our organization was built on, we're explorers, and we've done a lot of things that technically not legal, but that mind frame and that attitude is kind of what put us in the position where we are. How can you step outside the box? How can you be memorable? And what's going to set you apart from other entities who are trying to do similar things? So the focus of our group was initially, we want to preserve our buildings. They're linked to our past. We want to stop seeing our landmarks being torn down in our community. A lot of my history I don't know from the city because most things in the Midwest, when they get old, we just tear them down. And so we want to push that through to our youth. What can we do to save these locations or at least save the culture around them? And that led us to our next initiative. How do we reach and teach the youth and change the mindset of our youth here in Gary? So we launched an initiative last year called Art is Life. We recruited middle school and high school students, and essentially for the summer, they became Decay doubles. We taught them how to do commissioned work, how to price their artwork. Essentially, what are those life skills, what are those business skills that you will use if you were an entrepreneur setting up your own entity? We didn't really want to dictate and tell them exactly what to do. We just kind of gave them the guidelines, and they did some very impressive work. They did everything from landscaping work. The students completely led these projects, designed these projects on their own. Only thing we did was give those guys a direction of what we would like to see. And everything from cost estimates to, pricing materials, et cetera, those guys were in charge of doing everything across the board. So as an organization, in 2016, we started with our small events. In 2017, we did our Union Station and our Supersize Me projects. And you can start to see how, from Supersize Me and that community engagement, how we wanted to keep the community center and like really listen to what the community input was. Although we have our agenda to push the union forward, we know that's a big project. That's a little more lengthy, long-term project. So we started to work with other entities and other nonprofits in the city to do more projects. So you have the Gary Tech Mobile, we did culture and wellness events, the Gary Love Fest, the Artist Life, and now we're doing the 1906 initiative. So I wanted to take an opportunity to, just touch base on a lot of our partners and just like a nice summary. We had that big long list of everyone who we want to talk to and be partners with when we started our endeavor for the beautification project, and everyone on that list eventually became partners, just not in the quick overnight time frame that we expected, that we wanted. So definitely Legacy Foundation and Knight Foundation were groundbreaking and helping us get the ball rolling, and Gary Redevelopment, New York Times, and a lot of other entities. And the awards listed below that we've received, National Trust 40 Under 40, but the biggest one for us is getting the Union Station on the National Landmark Designation list. So that was a really, really big accomplishment for us, and that would not have been possible without Indiana Landmarks assisting us. And that's us from Decay Devils. Thank you.
All right, we're going to now turn it over to Nina Burton.
Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
I'm Nina Davis Burton. I am a lifelong Gary resident. I've been a part of the city, of course, since birth, because I said lifelong. But I'm also a concerned citizen. I'm a community person, and we have some great opportunities in our city, and we want to make sure that we are able to capitalize on those things. I'm representing Woodland Child Development Center. I'm the executive director here. We are a child development center serving children from 0 to 12 months. I've been here for about 7 years. When I came, one of the first things that I noticed that there was a lack of community involvement. So that has become one of our biggest initiatives, is definitely making sure that we are involved in whatever community we serve. Currently, we're located in Hammond, Indiana, but we serve, about 7 or 8 different communities within Indiana. But of course, my heart belongs to Gary. So I am, as described earlier, I am a mother of 5. I'm married to my husband, Mr. LeBaron Burton. We've been married for 19 years this year. We're raising our children in the city of Gary. We're sending our children through the school system, which we're very active and a part of. If you don't know the history even of the school system, we are presently under state takeover. So there is a lot of interest for us even there, because we want to ensure that at some point we gain local control and ensure that our students are getting the best education possible. Next slide. Am I controlling the slide? I'm sorry, Justin. Am I controlling it, or are you? There you go. So that's my family. I did just introduce my family. Again, mother of 5, and very proud of our children who thrive even in the midst of adversity, or however you see it. But we have a lot in the city of Gary to offer. So I'll keep going, Justin. The reason I am representing Woodland is because of our mission, our goal, our plan. So we are a not-for-profit agency. When I came, one of the biggest things I had to conquer and deal with was getting not only our staff, but even families to go past the thinking that a child care center is just a daycare center. When you get into this field, you are going to be dealing with a lot of different facets of people's lives, if you care enough to do so. We go past just dropping children off and bringing them in. We are a licensed and accredited center. We are also curriculum-based. Even our babies have a curriculum. It's not making them read or anything of that sort, but we recognize that there are developmental milestones that all children can reach. So our aim is to address the needs of the whole child, and that includes the needs of the family, the needs of the community as well. So we are very proud of our family and community engagement, and through our efforts, we are working on building definitely familial bonds, and also we're building community. Our mission statement says it all, but it says some, but also our value statement. And one of the things of our value statement, I'll just read that to you. It says that our program offers a learning foundation for leadership development, ensuring the community's well-being. So we're definitely working on future leaders in our community. We recognize the need for a licensed and accredited center in the city of Gary through many community needs assessments. Through our work, I got into this field. I'm originally a business person. I went to school for a bachelor's degree in business and a master's degree in business, but I was drawn to this field due to the lack of quality services that was in our community for our children. So my husband and I became advocates, community advocates for early childhood and for the families and for the children. So we found our pathway to Woodland, never leaving the city of Gary, but knowing that at some point we wanted to be able to bring quality programming to the city as a whole. Right now, there is not a licensed and accredited center in the city. There are many smaller ones. There are many home daycares and things of that sort. But we wanted them to have the experience that our families experience here at Woodland. They come into a nice, clean, airy facility, and we want that definitely in the city of Gary as well. You can keep going, Justin. So these are our program offerings. We've been in the community for over 50 years. Again, we're licensed by the state. We are accredited actually by 2 agencies. We are a level 4 passive quality provider. We are on my way pre-K provider. We are a partner with Purdue University to train their early childhood students. And we're also a training center for the local career centers. We also are a partner and we offer Head Start program services. And we have one of the best kindergarten programs in the country, right? In the country. We are curriculum-based, and we do a lot to ensure that they are ready for school, but we never forget that these are still children and they need that time to be children. We offer referral services for special needs. We learned that there is a large increase of needs for special needs, whether it's ADD, ADHD, but we've come across a lot of children needing even referrals just for autism, being on that spectrum. We develop our own referral system. We form partnerships to ensure that our children receive what they need. We have a very diverse staff. We represent many different countries, whether it's our staff or our children. So we're very diverse here. Our staff is required to, they are required to attend school to gain degrees, which we are able to help pay for. So we're very serious about the professional development and of our staff. We are intentional and thoughtful and respectful when it comes to our parent and family engagement, and we are blessed to have started 2 years ago our own after-school program, which we're very proud of. So this is our center. It is a 16,000 square foot facility. We have 14 classrooms, and this center was started by an initiative by community members who saw the need in Hammond, Indiana, for a child care center. They petitioned for a license, and they came together, and it was not in this building. They started in a church, and then from there they moved to a school, and eventually through a community collaborative partnership, this center was built for our students. So this is Woodland. Our initiative at this point, we are just meeting with architects. We have been working on an expansion, like I said, to put our center in the city of Gary. But we are actually adding to our services that we are going to be offering. The new facility will actually be about a 50,000 square foot facility. We are looking for it to be state of the art. Of course, we're looking at the environmental things that we need to make sure, because we want to be also sustainable, self-sustainable as much as possible. We have partnered with a local hospital, and they're looking to possibly bring in a medical facility. We plan on becoming a 24-hour facility. We're going to have, of course, a huge expansion of our special education and behavioral services, which would include having on-site in classrooms and families accessible to occupational therapists, behavioral health specialists, things of that sort. Of course, we're going to have our after-school program with a strong emphasis on STEM and STEAM activities. We are looking to help bridge that digital divide. From personal experience in the business world, we know that in other countries, they have kids as young as 12 and 13-year-olds that can program and run circles around most of us. So we want to make sure that we're bringing in those activities and those services and those opportunities for our children to be able to compete globally in this society. So there definitely will be community rooms. We're looking at exercise rooms for our staff and our families, adequate space for outdoor activities. We're very high on making sure the children get outside, get to move, get to play, to be children. We also have we already have a garden and a master garden program, and we do plan on extending that tremendously. We have met with our architects. It is a very aggressive project, but we are also to ensure that we attain the dream, because we want to go past the dream in order to make sure that we attain the dream. And those are our dream pictures. We have began our own capital funding campaign. We have began speaking with different foundations to secure additional funding. So we are committed to making sure that the children of Gary experience not old, but something new. There has not been a facility of this sort built in the community, and we definitely want to bring this to life and bring this to fruition for our children and our families. We're looking at an increase in employment for the community. We're looking for an increase in pride for our community to have a facility of this sort in the city of Gary. We also have part of our program is we have a home program that we have began, and this is our way of also helping to rebuild the community. If you know anything about the city of Gary, you know that we've had a huge population decline, so that there has left a large number of abandoned structures, homes, and things of that sort. Our goal is to purchase homes. We will renovate the homes, and we will be able to help our staff and our families become homeowners in less than 5 years. I have personally experienced this. My husband and I, along with our children, at one point lost everything. We became homeless. And it was not that we were not working, and it's not that we were lazy or any of those things. Life happened. We were blessed to have met an investor who invested in a home for us, and we were able to pay off our own personal home in 4 years. Thus, the home program was born out of this thinking. We do not want to deal with traditional financing that tacks on all of the additional finances that causes people sometimes to go through what we went through. But we want to make sure that families planted in the communities can thrive. And through that, we will be able to really help to reinvent and reinvest in the community. We have began to meet with lenders. We're going to be offering credit counseling, budget classes, estate planning, financial planning, definitely. We want to make sure as something as simple as people know how to open an account, have an account. What is a bank account for? Also knowing how to budget. We're having life skills training down to how to clean a home, how to maintain property, things of that sort. So that is a part of our community reinvestment in the city of Gary. We're looking to purchase our first home within the next month and to begin this process. These are just a few of the abandoned houses. And when I tell you that there are many abandoned structures in the city of Gary, there is. But we still are working to correct that and looking forward to seeing a new birth of the city as a whole. We know that to change a community, you have to take some tough steps, and we are willing to take those steps to make this dream come true. So I decided to show you the home that we purchased. And we purchased this home in January of 2013, and we were completed paying for it by April of 2017. It is a 3,500 square foot brick home. It is in a quiet neighborhood. It is in a very good established neighbors. If you notice the balloons and things, congratulate me. I have a senior who graduated this year, so we were celebrating her graduation. And again, it is a community where we feel very safe and we're happy to be a part of. Our children are in those streets, they're on that sidewalk. So we know that the pathway that we're choosing is a very good pathway, and it is a dream that is accessible not only for us, but even for the families and the community, because we really want to see our community revived.
All right, thank you, Nana. And we are now going to turn it over to Kelly Anoe.
We are the community foundation for Lake County, and so that covers Gary and Hammond, Indiana. And we made the strategic decision about 6 years ago now to really invest heavily in community engagement and to work with the neighborhoods and communities to try to build up their power and decision-making within their own communities so that the impact can be driven by the residents. And so I'm going to take you a little bit on our journey there. Started in 2014, where we launched a collective impact initiative called Neighborhood Spotlight. And so that was our first move from transactional grant making to really transformational grant making that would activate residents as the change agents within their own communities. And so as you see, the collective impact plan that we were working on was really resident-led and focused on building assets within neighborhoods, used both formal and informal leaders as decision makers. And so as opposed to the traditional leadership model where you're looking at the leaders who are the known leaders in the communities, the elected officials, we looked at who are the leaders within the neighborhoods, who do the residents respect as authorities that we could work with and collaborate with. And so that model led us to really planning, so working with the residents to do collective impact planning, involving as many residents as we could in the community. And so some of that included not just expecting people to come out to a community planning session, but having a group that worked as kind of an advisory committee who would go out to the people who maybe didn't come out to things and conduct one-on-one interviews with those people. And so really kind of reaching a little bit further into the community to reach a greater audience as opposed to the usual people who you see come out to everything. And so that really helped us be successful in kind of pulling in new people, new faces, by having them have that one-on-one individual outreach. So we worked with these neighborhoods to develop the collective impact plan that was neighborhood-based. So we worked with multiple different neighborhoods at once, detailed clear goals based on the resident feedback for what the residents wanted to achieve for their visions, and developed an action plan with really achievable steps to help them achieve those goals. And let's see. So the neighborhoods that we selected to be a part of the neighborhood spotlight process, they had to come to a couple of informational sessions and submitted a letter of interest that introduced their neighborhood to the process of taking a self-assessment, readiness determination, and building their capacity for future work. So we did trainings with those neighborhoods, we did site visits, we worked with them on stakeholder interviews, and then had a selection committee review the neighborhood's readiness and ability to be able to go through this process and have a group of residents who were committed and would be engaged to work with us on this. Legacy Foundation, as the community foundation, our role as initiator was clearly defined and well implemented. So we helped kind of guide them through the process, and it was a multi-year process. So we worked with the communities for about 5 years, using the organize, decide, act approach of collective impact to address complex issues in their communities. Am I just zooming? Hold on, sorry, I think I was just zooming. Okay. So once a neighborhood was selected, they received funding to hire a community builder. They received funding to implement early action projects, and we provided them with training and technical assistance. We helped them to create their community collective impact plan. And so we had a consultant who was working with them on actually developing the plan. And then we provided seed funding to start implementing the collective impact plan. Make sure I don't hit Zoom this time. And so overall objectives included organizational capacity building, so working with the nonprofits in the neighborhood to help build capacity for the nonprofit partners, building stronger partnerships, and coordinating program implementation, and helping to leverage external funding. So we know that we certainly cannot do everything that needs to be done. Legacy Foundation can't provide all the funding that's needed or even close to. So helping to identify who are other sources of funding, who are some partners that we can approach to try to bring in additional resources. So some keys to engagement success that we found with engaging residents in the community is to do early action early. And so what we mean by that is that a lot of times the community groups wanted to really start off with a big project. So Decay Devils came in and they wanted to transform Union Station and take on this building and have this big capital campaign. And, you know, it would be something that is millions of dollars project. And what they did, you know, what they're doing now, which is really smart, is that's still a dream and still a vision, but at the same time, they're also doing some other lower hanging fruit projects, things to get the community engaged and involved, which keeps the momentum going for both their organization, their community, the residents, and it keeps interest in the other projects. To collect ideas throughout the process. And so the plans are living, breathing documents. The ideas are always evolving, and we need to be aware of that and understand that as things evolve and as things change, that new people will come in and be involved, new ideas will come up, and that we need to always be adaptable for that. So some examples of some of the early engagement successes we had were neighborhood events, neighborhood calendars. So a lot of people just talked about not knowing what was going on and when. Leadership development, community gardens, park cleanups, youth programming, and public arts. And easy ways for residents to get involved were to attend the training sessions, join a task force or working group for neighborhood spotlight, attending one of the events, making the connections between formal and informal leaders. And so that would help to bring in new people to the process who, like I said, maybe weren't the people who showed up to everything. And social media. It's a big way to be able to share what's happening in their communities. And so a couple successes that we had from that were in the Miller neighborhood of Gary. They had over 200 one-on-one interviews that were accomplished. They focused a lot on accessibility, festivals and workshops, community cleanup, and they created a kayak launch, and they have a kayaking group now. They have a bicycling group, and so they did a bicycle tune-up program and do different clubs for that. In Hobart, there were 189 one-on-one interviews, and the community identified expanding and reopening the fire station in their neighborhood as a priority because the next nearest fire station was quite a ways away, and there were a couple railroad tracks in between that fire station and their neighborhood. And so we helped them to work with the local government and talk to the mayor, and they were successful in getting the city to agree to reopening that fire station. They wanted to bring an awareness to their natural assets, and so they decided to designate themselves as the nature district. And another thing that we were able to work with the city on, and we were able to help fund, you can see in the picture there, that they designed and brought in some wayfinding signage to designate their area as the nature district. So there's some good successes that came out of the residents' ideas on what they wanted to see happen for their communities. In the Emerson neighborhood in Gary, some of the most notable accomplishments was that they achieved over 300 one-on-one interviews. They really focused on urban ag, so worked to bring in residents to help build a local farm where they turned it into an urban farm, and volunteers helped to keep the farm going. And they designated an abandoned church as a historical site and received a historical marker for there. And then in Griffith, really worked on their parks. That's what they identified as the priority. So they built a park wall mural, got some commemorative plaques, signage, new playground equipment. And so they were able to do quite a bit in their parks department, and then also in their communications in their community. And so the participants really felt like it was a valuable process, and it changed their thinking about how they could have a part and be leaders in the revitalization of their communities, and build relationships with new residents and neighbors, and have a voice. But we learned that we needed a wider reach, that it was a good initiative, and we were able to really focus on these, micro neighborhoods one-on-one, but we needed to be able to reach more residents, reach more neighborhoods, and engage more people. And so we launched On the Table, which was a Chicago Community Trust initiative, and with the support of Knight Foundation, we were able to bring On the Table here to our communities, which had, it's an initiative where you can have 6 to 10 people gather around a table, share their experiences, learn about each other and their communities, and brainstorm solutions for how they can work to improve them. And so our goal was to really engage a diverse group of voices, to get feedback and to listen to the solutions on how to generate ideas for the community, and to take action then based on a survey report. And so from year to year, we've done On the Table for 3 years now. In our first year, we had 1,300 adult participants. And as you can see, in our third year, we were up to 2,600. Youth participants, we started with 150 in our first year. And the number's not on there, but it was 1,000 youth participants in 2019. And so surveys we decided to stop focusing on. So that's why you see such a decline, is that the first year we really wanted the survey feedback, and by the third year we decided to put less emphasis on that. But we really were happy with the number of people who participated in On the Table. And this was all over one day where people came together in our community to have a conversation about their community. And so we identified partners, implemented a marketing strategy, and empowered residents to lead this initiative. So it was really about residents served as the host sites. They pulled together their friends and families, and people they didn't know would put out an invitation to anybody to join them to have a conversation, and we let them just have that conversation on their own. So we didn't facilitate, we didn't moderate. It was really about bringing it to them to be able to lead. They would choose their location, time, meal, topics, and we would just provide the materials to help kind of give some prompting questions if necessary. And of course, we would select the dates because we wanted it all to be this energy around a single date. So 58% of respondents reported speaking with someone new. 62% expressed interest in building relationships and collaborating. 50% who responded said they wanted to volunteer, and 47% wanted to continue the discussion by joining additional small group conversations. And then we also awarded action grants to residents who participated and submitted an ideas for something that they wanted to turn into an action afterwards. So some of the action awards that we gave out were to use to have a podcast in Gary that shared good news that was happening, community gardens, veteran cleanup day, community conversations about the school system, potlucks. So those are some of the things that came out of the conversations about how residents could keep it going. And then the only thing that to add is that that's really what helps lead us at a Legacy Foundation to the Center for Community Progress Resident Revitalization Fellowship, is the work that we had been doing with a lot of the residents over those years. It was a great opportunity to really bring it full circle and do a deeper dive with the residents who were who were a part of some of these initiatives with us. So thank you for your time, and just got a question to go back to the slide about my 3 goals. So that's all I have. Go back.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelly. I just want to make a quick announcement before we go into questions. We are currently at 12:58 p.m., and I understand that many of you have other obligations. I do want to remind everybody that we are recording today's presentation. We'll probably only answer a few questions today, but if you do need to log off, you will be able to see the discussion from the question and answer once we send out the recording. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Liz, who will lead our question and answer session.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I saw my headphones were dying, so I'll hopefully they last. So we have a question specifically for you, Tyrell, regarding Union Station, and if there's plans to retrofit that building for mixed-use affordable housing and commercial space, if there's an end goal in mind.
So the current plans are we're in the process of applying for our historic tax credits, and our vision is to have a mixed-use space That mixed-use space could be used for some of our community events, rentable space, where we have a lot of urban farmers in the area, so we talked about doing weekend farmers markets, things of that nature in the area. So we just want to make it a mixed-use space that's self-sustaining, something that we can rent out. We don't intend on writing grants and applying for funding forever, so we definitely want to have it to be some type of facility that generates funds that can go towards just sustaining the maintenance.
Oh, thank you. Nina, I have a question for you. And the community investment initiative that you guys are doing at Woodland, how are you planning to acquire the properties? Are you in conversations with the city of Gary to do that, and kind of what does that look like?
We've had some conversations with the city of Gary, but we're not going to only rely on those things. We have private sales that we're dealing with as well, and we also look at the sale list as well as we work with a very good realtor as well.
Great, thank you. Kelly, I have a question for you related to investing in community capacity building. How does Legacy Foundation make those decisions? How much are you investing, and kind of what has that process been like for Legacy?
So we made, we made the decision a number of years ago to start really investing in residents and community engagement, so the capacity building in that sense. And so we have, it's through a process, so through a strategic planning process with our organization, that we're able to really decide which initiative we want to focus on. So Neighborhood Spotlight was a 5-year initiative. On the table was a 3-year initiative. And so they all kind of have start and end dates with these various initiatives where we allocate some of our grant-making dollars to invest in those. Hopefully that answers the question.
Well, since we're over time, I'm actually just going to ask one last question because I think it's really important, and feel free, anybody, to answer this question. But as the leaders of organizations and individuals doing this work on the ground, what has been the policies or strategies that you've used to make sure that your hard work does not revert back to policies that are being implemented that the community doesn't necessarily support? So how are you sustaining your momentum moving forward and making sure that decisions aren't being made against the goals of the community?
I mean, I'll start that one, because I think we try to do that by relying on Nina and Tyrell and other residents to actually decide what's needed and to work with the community. And so I think we know, hopefully know our lane, and try to understand how we can help to support the work as the foundation.
I was going to say something similar, because our project is unique. Not everyone is a big advocate for preservation. So what we do is try to meet people halfway, try to find things within our area that they appreciate, and try to kind of connect the dots so that we can get more people interested in our vision and what we want to do. So what we do is we just do community engagement. We support the community's needs through our projects as well.
We're a part of the community, and we're very involved. Like I said before, from being a part of the school, forming the parent-teacher-student associations, being a part of the block club. So we're in the community, and we have access to know directly what our community needs, and we're not guessing So we're definitely always keeping our ears and eyes open. We welcome any feedback and anything from the communities that we serve. We also ensure that our goals and our initiatives are embedded in the program and not just in the people. So if I decide to walk away from Woodland Child Development Center, the program will still be a part of the center and a part of the initiative of Woodland.
Great, thank you. So briefly, I just want to have this slide up. There's more information about our Community Revitalization Fellowship on our website, so please feel free to take a look. And our contact information will be sent out, so feel free to reach out and ask any questions that you may have of any of us. So Justin, I'm not sure if you have some closing thoughts?
That is it. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody who joined us today, and please visit our website for more information on this and other webinars in the future. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not letting me leave.